Hey guys, this is Bruce. Welcome to ConvoCourses podcast, where we're going to be just talking about any and everything. I'm listening to your chats on TikTok, on Facebook, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and live on podcasts. So any questions you guys have, I'm open to it. I'm a subject matter expert on cybersecurity compliance. I've been doing this since the year 2000. So if you have any questions whatsoever, this is the time to ask. If there's no questions, I'm just going to start answering comments. I get tons of comments on Facebook, on YouTube, on TikTok, and I'll just read through those. But I should let you guys know before I get started is right now, for a limited time only until I believe Tuesday, I have a free book on Kindle. It's free on Kindle. And that book talks about the risk management framework process. It talks about the control family, and I break it down in layman's terms. If you read the NIST 800 series of publications, the special publications, it sounds like you're reading academic papers and they don't tell you what you really need to know. So I've been working in this field for a long time. So what I do is I tell you exactly what you need to know and I cut to the chase. So that's what those books have. Now this is my most popular book. And the reason you probably wondering like, why are you giving it out for free? So what I do is I'm trying to get it up in the ranking on Amazon. So what you do is you get the reviews. So I'm looking for somebody to give me some reviews. Of course, you can do whatever the hell you want, but it'll be great if if you give me go on there, give me a review, read the book. It's an awesome book. It's going to walk you through everything you need to know as an information system security officer doing this work. So that being said, let me get right into the questions. Okay. Jennifer, how you doing? She says, hey, you're the best. I got the book. Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate that. Leave me a review if you can. I appreciate everybody's reviews. Are you taking mentees? No, not at this time. I have a full-time job and it's very, it's very busy. So I can only do this kind of thing on the weekends. And I got a lot of people asking me for stuff like mentorship or me to walk them through stuff. And I just don't, it's better for me to just teach everybody and talk to everybody at once. So that's what I'm doing. Like at some point, I would like to get back into that because I was doing it for a while when I quit my job like a year ago for a little bit. Let me see. Oh, LinkedIn. How you doing, sir? Thank you for what you do. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for that. I've read the book, gave an awesome review. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate any and all reviews that I get from there. And to be honest, even if you download it on Kindle, that's also very helpful to the Amazon rankings. And so just so you guys know, I'm a publisher. I'm a writer and I'm a publisher. And so what I'll do is I'm writing a book right now. As a matter of fact, I've got one I've already finished and it's in the process of being formatted. I've already gone through an editor and now it's got to get formatted and get a cover and all that kind of stuff. And that book is going to be about how to use AI prompt engineering to help you out in the NIST 800. So I've been doing NIST 800 and risk management framework stuff for a very long time. So the first thing I thought about when AI came out was like, how can this help me with my career path? How can this help me be better at what I do? And I just went through it and started messing with it and found a whole bunch of things you can do with it. And I put all of that, everything I learned into the book. So that book is coming out soon. So if you're interested in that, coming out soon, check it out. I'm going to be putting the first place I usually go to is the people who follow me on my newsletter. So my newsletter, I put it out I send people a free copy on my newsletter and say, hey, here's a free copy before I even release it. A lot of times before it's even out on Kindle or anything, I put it out to them and then they get back to me and say, yep, Bruce, yeah, I got you, and then I'll send out the link and then they'll go and give me reviews and stuff like that. So that's normally what I do. So if you wanted it really fast, that's the best place to go to because I'll be giving out that other book real soon. Because that one, well, I've got to wait till the formatting's done, but that's going out really soon. So that's, if you happen to be in my newsletter, that's where you'll get that. So let me see. I don't have a lot of questions this time. So let me see if I can find some good comments. Every now and then I get some really, really good comments on YouTube. And this is going to be my first time seeing these on YouTube. So let me just slip over here on YouTube and get these questions going here. Let me see. Somebody said, thanks. My question is, do you really? Okay, this is a good question. My question is, do you really get trained when you get hired as an information system security officer? I can answer this question. The answer is yes. You do get training, and you pretty much have to, because every organization you go to, as an information system security officer, I've worked for the Department of Defense. I've worked for 3-letter agencies. I've worked for NASA. I've worked for many different organizations doing this, aerospace organizations doing this kind of stuff. And every place has their own flavor of how they implement information system security officer work. Every place has their own method of doing NIST 800. And even if they're doing ISO 27001, if they're doing PCI compliance, there's a certain standard that you're supposed to do, but everybody has different vendors. They have different acronyms for what they do. They have different methodology of implementing those standards. So, for example, one organization might use Qualys to do the scanning and rely very, very heavily on Qualys to do the scanning. And then another organization might use a completely different tool to do that. And that, I'm not even talking about the tools, like the process is a lot different. The naming conventions of the different roles are different. So basically, whenever you go to another organization, you have to get on the job training. That being said, you do have to come to the table with some knowledge. Right. So they expect you to already know information technology, basic information technology. They expect you to know the basics of a risk management framework. They expect you to have some understanding of cybersecurity, and that's why they'll set the bar pretty high, because they want you to have a certain level of education and background. Sometimes depending on the job, right? But they're expecting you to know certain things when you come in, and then they train you. They have to have something to build on. You know what I mean? Like, imagine it like this: you're gonna work as a teller in a bank, but you don't know the dollar denomination. You only know euros or something. Or that's a bad example. You don't know how to count. Like, they can't hire you if you don't know how to do basic math. So they expect you to come in the door with a certain amount of knowledge. So they do train you, though, quite a bit. Like, and as a matter of fact, it usually takes anywhere from, depending on how new you are to this field, anywhere from I would say 4 to 6 months to really get spun up on it. Even myself, having the experience that I have, the recent job that I have, it took me probably a solid 2 months to understand their process and and I'm still learning things. I've been there for, it's been like 8 months now, and I'm still learning new stuff. I'm like, damn, what do you guys do? I'm like, damn, I got to read through their stuff because it's all different. So let me see if I got another. That was a great question, by the way. Great question, Mr. Osmond. Let me see here. Oh, here's another good one. Let me show you guys this one. And just so you guys know, I don't have anything planned. If you guys have any questions at all about risk management framework, ISSO work, if you guys have any questions whatsoever for a subject matter expert who's been doing this for a long time, here's your chance to actually ask. I don't have no plans. I'm just sitting here drinking tea, talking to you guys casually. All right. So the next question is from Robert. He says, what are your thoughts on the OSCP certification? So OSCP certification is a pen testing certification, from my understanding. And it's not like a CEH. It's in that it's the OCP certification. Let me see if I can bring it up here. The OCP certification is from Offensive Security. And these are the guys who created Kali Linux. So mad props to these guys. These guys really know what they're doing. They have great tools, a great concept for this whole thing. I've been using Kali Linux for many, many years. It's awesome. It's incredible. It's just a great tool. I've been using it since it was called Backtrack. You know, so it's really fun. It's really great stuff. That being said, the OSCP is the Offensive Security Certified Professional, and from what my understanding, it's one of the more difficult hacker certifications that you can take, because they give you 24 hours to just hack. They'll say it's not a paper, it's not a written exam. They just say, here's a network. Your objective is this. You got 24 hours to break into this system. Go. And so mad respect to that. That's a whole nother concept. And it's incredible. I think it's an incredible certification. I think it's a great idea. And normally the people who get it get real respect in that field, in that category of cybersecurity. Let me see. Do you know any companies ready to hire people who don't have who have not been in academia all their lives? Yeah, of course. Yes, there's so many people. They're really looking for people who have experience, to be honest. When you're talking about a degree or certifications, it's how you level up and make more money. But what they're really looking for is experience, and I can show you what I mean here. I'll just show my screen here. Indeed. I'm gonna go to Indeed.com. Show my screen here on YouTube. I don't know if I can really switch my screen on TikTok. That's where the question came. So let me just see if I can switch my screen real quick. I don't know if you'll be able to see this effectively. I don't have a good solution for showing my screen on TikTok just yet, but I'm on, if you want to follow along here. So you can't even see that. So let me see if I can do something here. Okay. So here I am on Indeed.com. You can do this on Dice, on Monster, or whatever. So what you want to do is you want to find, if you don't have a lot of experience, I just go for basic IT jobs, just IT support. This is what you want to do. You follow along with me. You put your city here, right? And if you're willing to travel or be located, then just leave it blank. We're gonna hit search. It'll normally, if you're logged in, it'll search by the place that you're at, wherever location you happen to be in. It'll search that way. But in this case, it's not linked to anywhere, so it's in the United States. And then they have one for UK, one for different countries and whatever. So here we go right here. Now what you want to do from here is search by experience level. So you've got no experience, you've got mid-tier, entry level. Entry level does not mean no experience, by the way, guys. It doesn't mean no experience. They're not the same thing. So I get a lot of questions from people who want to get in this field. They think they want to get in this field. There's a lot of people who think they want to get in this field, but if you have no experience, I would say like you're still window shopping, because you don't really know until you get in this whether you really want to do it or not. To be honest with you, because some people don't want to do this. They get a little taste of it, and they're like, nah, this isn't for me. And then education. Here's another thing you can search: education. You can you can filter by education, and there you go. No degree, no education required. There's 4 jobs. Now, there's not many jobs for that, but here it is right here. Yeah, so that's the way you would find it. And you can do that same thing across the board. You could do that on LinkedIn, on Dice. They all have some sort of a filter that allows you to search for jobs like that. But those jobs don't, just to let you know a couple things, okay? They're hard to find. You only saw 4 there, right? Out of hundreds, there was only 4. And I was searching across the US, but I think I did click another filter there. But there was only 4 for IT, and IT is that's a very big, that one has thousands of jobs usually. But I only found 4 with no education and no experience. So there's going to be limited ones. And then once you find those jobs in your area, if you happen to find them, you got to keep looking, because they pop up every now and then, and they're gone, because they're very competitive. I mean, what I mean is people are just grabbing them fast. Another thing is they don't pay very well. So you don't have any experience. They're gonna have to come in, and they're gonna teach you from scratch. So so there you go. But if it's just no education and you have a lot of experience, that's a different ball game. If you have a lot of experience but no education, you can still get paid pretty good. That's just my experience. And if you actually look in the market, you'll see the same thing. So I hope that answers your question. Let me see. Noah said, I'm looking into cybersecurity. I'm looking to get my master's degree in cybersecurity. Would you recommend CCNA or Security Plus? If you're focusing on cybersecurity, I would recommend the Security Plus. If you want to do networking, I would say CCNA. Go for the CCNA. Networking wise, CCNA is gonna get you really paid if you want to go that route. If you're trying to do cybersecurity, Security Plus is a great certification to start with. It's an entry level security certification, but the thing is, it's very marketable. So I would recommend, if you're going for your degree in cybersecurity and you're trying to like plus up with a certification, Security Plus is what I would recommend if you're trying to do cybersecurity. Let me see. Okay, so I meant that I've been in academia all my life without any practical experience. I would say let's say you've got like a bachelor's degree and a master's degree or something. You've just been back-to-back classes and now you got a couple degrees under your belt. If you happen to still be in the school, or hell, you've been an alumni so long, you might be able to go back to the school and get practical experience. You might be able to go back, whether your bachelor's degree or your master's degree or whatever, and then ask the school, say, hey, do you guys have any positions? Do you guys have any places that I can help out? Even if this is what I would do if I were you. So I'd go back to my school. If it's a local class you can go to, if you're remote, this won't work. But if it's a local school that's in your area, you can go back to the school and tell them, listen, I was an alumni here, our class of whatever. I've got a degree in X. I'm trying to get practical experience. You can just tell flat out, I'm trying to get practical experience in IT. Is there a way, do you guys have any positions? First of all, do you guys have any positions here where I could help to, I don't know, do help desk stuff or do imaging on computers? I'll do whatever. I'll help you guys set up networks, whatever, right? There, now you're going to have to know some of that stuff, right? But that's on you. You can actually get the experience from your house. Like you can learn how to do this stuff. You can make a lab in your house and do all this kind of stuff. Anyway, go back to your school and then flat out tell them, ask them if they have positions. If they don't have a working student, or if they don't have anything like that, then try to volunteer there. Be like, look, I have some free time. I'm trying to get in here. I've taught at the school a couple times. Like they had something where they wanted somebody to come and teach Security Plus, and I just went up there. I was at an organization called the ISSA, and that's another one I'm gonna tell you about. So I was with this local organization we have called ISSA, and ISSA is an organization for cybersecurity professionals to all get together. And they said, hey, we need somebody to teach, volunteer, not paid, to go here and teach this Security Plus class. We already have a slide deck. You can go and help, but we just need you to show up at this time and do this, right? And I said, okay. So then, I'm working at the school, getting practical experience as an actual instructor, teaching these other college kids or college people, not all kids, how to get the Security Plus certification. So this organization I'm telling you about is called the Information System Security Association. If you've never heard of it, you can just go to Google and type in ISSA. And in your area, I guarantee they have some sort of chapter in your area. They have them all over the United States. And it's a really great way to get hooked up with jobs. They're talking about jobs all the time in those things. They're asking for volunteer work. They're asking people to help out the local community. That's one of the good things about the ISSA, is that they'll connect with local community, with the local churches, the local veteran affairs offices, the local all kinds of community stuff that's always going on locally to you. And then they'll reach out to the ISSA. They'll have a relationship, and then they'll send a security person there to go help them secure their network, or do a scan on their network, or go there and help teach people basic security stuff. That's all stuff you can put on your resume. That's practical experience that you can get. So that's another thing you can do. But your question was, your question, let me get back to your question. Do you know any companies ready to hire people who've been in academia all their lives? That's your question. What I was answering is what I was saying is you got to have experience. But do I know of any? Yes. So if you go to internships, if you have a degree, if you've been just in academia, you got a master's degree, but you don't have any experience, one of the things you can do is an internship. You can go to Indeed.com, on Dice.com, they'll have something for internship stuff. I can show you that. They'll have you can have a drop down that shows you internships. If I'm not mistaken, let me make sure I'm not lying to you. Let me see if I can find an internship. What would that be called? Experience level. I know one of them or a few of them have that. Internships. Yep, there it is right there. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. If you go to Indeed, on Dice, on Monster, they all have something called internships. And if you happen to have just been doing nothing but academia, there's organizations that are looking for somebody who are heavy in theory and willing to learn. They're looking for working students, and you might be able to get yourself an internship, even if you've been out for a while, I think. But here you go right here. I'm on Indeed.com. You can do this with all the other ones too. Let me just make this bigger here and show you what I mean. You'll go to, I think, employment type, and then you can go to internship. And then another thing you can probably do is an apprenticeship is another thing you can do. You got many options. That's the one great thing about school. Like, people crap on school all the time. Like, all these shorts are saying, "Oh, I'm making $100,000 a year and I never went to school." First of all, that's outside the norm. That's not everybody, right? I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but that's not normal. It's just not normal. I'm just being honest with you. I've been in this field for a long time. It's just not normal. It happens more often, I'll say that, but it's still not, like, if you're getting a high paying job, typically you've had some education behind you. So let me see here. What do you need to learn to only do external pen testing? What do you need to learn to do only internal pen testing? Well, the common body of knowledge is out there. A couple of them would be, if you look at the CEH has a pretty good common body of knowledge of all the tools you can learn. And then there's a breakdown of how you actually go about doing the process as a pen tester, like as far as making sure that you get authorization to do the pen testing and get in a written form before you do anything like that, because there's a lot of legal stuff that could happen as a pen tester. You don't want to just be testing people's networks and be like, "Hey, I helped you. I scanned your network. I helped." You don't want to do that. You want to get approval. There's documentation that you would want to do to make sure that you're within scope. You want to get approval and be within scope of what you're going to tell them, exactly what you're going to do and stuff before you get there. Another thing is I'm just going off the top of my head, like stuff that I've learned along the way. I'm not a pen tester, but you do what's called footprinting and reconnaissance. That's where you're like doing basic scanning. And there's different ways you can do that, where you can do it covertly to where they don't find you. And there's a way that you can just blast them and just like send out a scan and get their ports. You want to get their ports and see what's open. And then the next thing you want to do is figure out fingerprinting. Reconnaissance is the first thing, like you're doing scanning, seeing what's going. You can actually just pull down lists of the organization to see what their IP addresses are and things like that. That's like publicly available information. So at that point, they can't do anything to you. Like, anybody can do that. But once you start fingerprinting and you're trying to do this like legally and you're scanning their ports and stuff, now you're getting into touchy territory. So first is reconnaissance. That's publicly available information, like what's the IP addresses of, I don't want to name a company just in case this goes viral, but it happens, man. But any company X, you could do fingerprinting, get all the public info. Then the next thing is fingerprinting, reconnaissance, and then fingerprinting is like figuring out what ports are open and then what operating systems are on those ports. Because now you're getting serious, because depending on the operating system, you might be able to do this or that. And now you're talking about getting into the infiltrating, getting inside the network, or pulling out information that you're not supposed to have. Like, you can do a couple things. Or if you can't get in, you can do like a denial of service attack. So from there, you can pivot and see what you want to do. So anyway, there's some steps that you would find. You'd find these in the CEH. You'd find it in the, I don't know how much information the OSCP has on that. I think they just expect you to just hack shit. But there's a couple of ones, but the one that comes to mind is CEH, that breaks everything down that you need to know for external pen testing. So I'm not by no means a subject matter expert on it. Obviously, I do not know what the hell I'm talking about. So do not listen to me about pen testing. I'm not a pen tester. That's not my line of work. That's a whole different thing. Just because you're a cybersecurity person doesn't mean you know pen testing. Pen testing is one tiny sliver and fragment that's very interesting in cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is a huge field, just so you guys know. So don't expect every cybersecurity person to know how to hack, because we don't all know how to hack. Okay, let me see. Just got my CompTIA Security Plus studying for my security. Just got my CompTIA Network Plus studying for my Security Plus. Already got my clearance. Congratulations. Congratulations. That's awesome. Somebody said, Natasha said, I'm learning pen testing now in my current class. Is it fun? It's great, isn't it? Pen testing is super fun. Natasha, can you break down some of the steps of pen testing? Do you know them? I know one's reconnaissance, and then it's fingerprinting. And then after that, my brain goes foggy. I don't remember the rest of the steps. Can you tell me? I'll read them here live. Somebody said, is an associate's degree in cybersecurity good? Yeah. I would say any kind of degree is great, because there's job. I mean, even if you have no experience, even if you have no degree, the experience trumps everything. Okay, so number one, experience is what you really need. But that being said, an associate's degree is awesome in cybersecurity, because that is a great way to get started. You are already 20 steps ahead of most people who want to get into this field. And you probably open the door for yourself to know. One of the great things about school is the networking, because you're going to meet people in the class who are going to be successful. They're going to get a job here or get a job there. And they might be able to bring you along, or say, hey, I got a job at Northrop Grumman, but I know that Lockheed Martin is hiring. That connection, that word of mouth stuff, man, that really works. Most of my jobs have come from word of mouth. I'll say over 50% of the jobs I get have been word of mouth. Like, somebody knew me, they got a job, and then they said, hey, we should bring this other guy along. So when you're in class and you get that associate, all the people that you meet, even your teachers, everybody, that the networking that you get is awesome. But also, when you get in the field, when you start putting your resume out, that associate's degree is valuable. So you can definitely get a job with that degree. Let me see. Got some other comments, questions. Okay, Natasha said, here's the steps to pen testing: reconnaissance, scanning, vulnerability assessment, exploitation, and lastly, reporting. Thank you, Natasha. I appreciate that. That's what I was trying to say. But yeah, that's it right there. Reconnaissance is like publicly available information that it can include, if I'm not mistaken, can include footprinting. And you can do it quietly, or you can do it where you don't care. You just want to figure out what's information's out there. And then also, once you do reconnaissance, you can figure out if you can do social engineering on them, because if you get their email addresses, you can do other stuff. Then scanning, that's where you're actually looking at all their ports and figuring out, okay, where can I get in? And then you're finding vulnerabilities. That's the vulnerability assessment part. And then once you have the vulnerabilities, now you can exploit those vulnerabilities that you found, and finally doing a report. Now, before you do any of that, you got to get approval. Don't just go scanning somebody's network and doing all this stuff, because you can get real trouble doing that. I'm still new to this, and I'm trying to I'm trying my post grad cert in cybersecurity. Awesome. That's incredible. That's great. Make sure you do some networking. And Natasha, what I tell every student is, don't start right now. Start right now. Like, start putting out your resume, put your resume together. If nothing else, it's great practice. Put your resume together, put your skill sets on there, go to LinkedIn, put your stuff on LinkedIn. If you can, get some work experience while you're in college. Even if you're remote, see if you can actually get in there. Start right now, because why not? You might even get an offer, and by the time you get out, you actually have experience that you can put on your resume. And the whole time you've been tweaking your resume. And when I say resume, I mean your profile on Indeed, on LinkedIn, on all the platforms. Can you talk about the legal stuff that can happen? Are you referring to if you're doing hacking on somebody's network? I'm not a lawyer, but I know they can sue you. If you don't have, they can come after you and sue you. And the thing is, let's say you do find a vulnerability. You know what I mean? Let's say you scan somebody's network with no. Let's say you just start scanning somebody's network, right? Let's say you're doing it on your ISP. Your ISP is ISPX, and then you're like, man, I wonder what network I'm on their network. Let me see if I can find any vulnerabilities. And then you use some sort of use Nmap. Nmap is a scanning tool, and you're trying to just mess around with Nmap, and you happen to know their IPs, right? You happen to know their IP range. So then you use Nmap to do an IP scan on them. Well, number one, they're going to know exactly who's scanning them, because it's going to be coming from your IP address, which is linked to your name and your account. So number one, you didn't even hide yourself. So they're going to know exactly who's doing that. And let's say you're doing scanning on them, and that scanning knocks out one of their, it brings them down. Maybe you did it wrong. Maybe you ran a script that included Nmap, and that script caused a denial of service attack, which brought down some server. I mean, this is highly unlikely, but it brought down some server. So at the very least, what they'll do is they can just turn off your IP. There's like, okay, turn that IP off, and then your network's down. That's one thing. I mean, they might even take legal action. They just shut you down and be like, hey, who's this person scanning us? Let's block them. So that's one thing that could happen. But legally, you just happen to scan your university and you do something to them, and you ended up doing a denial of service attack on them, and then they trace it back to your ISP, and then they find out who you are. I don't know what legally they can do to you, but you're not supposed to be there. They can't get you for doing like basic reconnaissance. They can't get you for that. But if you're doing some kind of deep scanning where you're finding vulnerabilities, I still don't mean, if you find vulnerabilities on an IP that's publicly available, I mean, what can they do, right? But then if you go the next step and try to do something, like let's say you find, God forbid, FTP port that's open, and then you're like, I wonder if I can get on this unsecured FTP port, and then you find more stuff on there, you just want to be careful. That's all I'll say. I'm not a lawyer. I can't tell you what legally they can do, but if you're trying to pursue this career field and try to get a job, just be careful when you start messing around with tools, because especially there's certain organizations you do not want to mess with, and that's the government, banks and they're very litigious organizations. And those two right there, I would not mess with. Those are not soft targets. They will come after you. I could tell you one time, this wasn't even had nothing to do with scanning, no hacking. But what I did, I had a website. Check this out. This is crazy. So years ago, I had a website. The website was pretty popular. I was teaching this stuff here, and nobody was talking about it. So it just blew up. It blew up so big, people knew my freaking name. It was crazy. It was crazy. The first time I had some level of like notoriety. And anyway, so I wrote this article. I went to a pen testing class, and I won't name the certification, but I went to a pen testing class, and it was great. And I wrote an article on my site about it. I said, hey, this is a really awesome class. Here's what I did. It was really cool. If you have the chance to go to it, go to it. And the name of the company is this. And that's all I did. And so what happened was, oh man, I don't even know if I should talk about this. Dude, it's been like 7 years. Okay, I'll talk about it. So what happened was the person, oh man, I don't know if I should talk about this. You know what? Screw it. Okay, so it happened a long time ago. So the dude who, there's this wealthy guy who owns that certification. I'm not gonna name the certification, but this dude, he owns it. He owns the whole thing, and he created it and owns it and whatever. This dude's wife gets on there and starts talking about real bad stuff about this dude. I don't even want to repeat the stuff she said about this guy. And she just put it under it was a blog, so she put it in the comments and starts talking real bad about this dude. Apparently they'd just gotten into some nasty divorce and stuff, and so she was saying real bad stuff about this guy and has his name in there and everything. Well, my post was pretty popular, so if anybody had put this dude's name, the CEO's name, into the search into Google, it would come up with her comment on my side. I didn't say nothing about this dude. I didn't even know who he was or anything. But when they would type his name into Google, because his certification was blowing up, he was doing really good. And this was the first time he was like really doing well. It's out there now. This certification is pretty big. I'm not even gonna name it. So anyway, so you would type this dude's CEO's name, boom, my site would come up, and then her comment would come up about all the stuff that she claimed he was doing. And then I didn't even know the comment had happened. I got a cease and desist letter from his lawyer saying, "Hey, you need to take this page down. This is libelous or whatever. I don't know, some legalese, right?" And I'm reading through it, and I'm like, "What is this, a scam? Like, what is this? I don't even know what the hell they're talking about, right?" But it's my first time I ever gotten a cease and desist order, so I don't know what to do. I'm like, "What is this?" And I read it again. I'm like, "What?" And then they're referring directly to that, so I know it's not fake because it's actually referring to the actual blog. And I'll go to the blog, and then there's the comment. I see it for the first time. I'm like, what the heck? And then I read the letter again, and I'm like, oh crap. I'm like, and I'm upset. I'm like, I wrote back to the guy and I said, listen, there's no need to threaten me. All you had to do was ask me to take it down. I had no idea who you were, and I had no idea she had posted this, And so the story gets crazier. So then she starts emailing me directly. His wife, or I guess, starts emailing me directly, and this whole email about all the stuff this guy is doing and everything, like just all this stuff. And I don't know their business. I have no idea what's real or what's fake. I'm just a blogger, And so she's telling me, he did this, and I'm like, lady, like, I don't have nothing to do with this. Like, I'm just a blogger. Like, why are you posting this here? And then he would come back. So they're talking to me about this post, and he came back and said, hey, did you remove it yet? And I'm like, okay. I'm working and stuff. I don't have time to sit here. So I went into the blog. I deleted her comment first, right? And then she emailed me again, say, why you delete my comment, blah, blah, blah. This guy's doing all this stuff. I'm saying, look, this is not about your relationship. I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry to hear all this stuff, but I'm just posting about cybersecurity stuff. That's it. I'm not. So then he comes back and says, hey, they're both like arguing through me. And I'm like, what is happening here? So then what's happened is I'm like, okay, I don't want to be involved with this. This post isn't that important to me. I delete the whole post. Google cached it. So Google, if you didn't know, anything you put on the internet is there almost permanently. Like it's permanently there. So I guess it took a while. I don't know if this is the same case anymore, but when you post something, Google caches it and it stays there for like 30 days or something like that. So that's what he was seeing. And I was saying, hey man, I've deleted it. I don't have nothing to do with your whatever's going on, and I've deleted the post. There's no need for me to keep it there. So I don't know what Google's doing, but it's gone. And so that's what happened. Like, wow. I mean, I don't know what that has to do with anything we're talking about here, but that's what happened. All right, let me see. I got some more comments and stuff. Natasha says, okay, I've been watching you for a minute, taking some pointers. I'm a seasoned employee, data analyst, system admin for state government, and I want to change my career with a focus on cybersecurity, and I'm 3 classes in. That's awesome. I would recommend one of the things along the way to your study is a Security Plus. And another thing would be, if you're a system administrator, there's some things you can put on your resume that'll help you out. Anytime you put security patches on there, that's known as vulnerability management. So you want to put that keyword, you want to slip that keyword in there. So any kind of vulnerability management type stuff you've done, put that on your resume. There's some keywords that you need to put on there. If you're a system admin, you might be familiar with some of this stuff. If you've ever turned on the audit logs on a system, you want to put that on your resume. If you've ever monitored the event logs on the system, you want to put that on your resume. If you've ever created a report that had anything to do with cybersecurity, with continuity of operations, those kind of things you want to also put on your resume, because those are things that contribute to cybersecurity. People think that cybersecurity is just hacking, and it's not. Cybersecurity is a huge field, and actually some of them, like the field I'm in, actually pays better than most pen testing jobs. And that's something that they don't really talk about a lot, but it's just something that's not popular. It's not cool, and it's just nobody talks about it. That's all it really is. And I do security compliance, and which is making sure that the organization is in line with certain rules and regulations for the state government, for example. Like the state of California has a rule on privacy that's prevalent to that state. Vermont has their own certain policies that they have to be compliant with that do have some technical but also process based security controls that have to be put on there. That's another thing. If you've ever done any kind of security controls, if you've ever applied security controls, now if you're a system admin, you have definitely done that before. That's things like making sure that a system has other accounts other than just admin accounts on it. If you've ever created a standard account on a system and then manage that standard account. If you've ever had to change the complexity of passwords, or if you've ever had to change from your the username password to multi-factor authentication, for example, that's something you could put on your resume. There's tons of things as a system administrator, as a help desk person, you could put on your resume that's going to help you to get into this field. But a lot of people just don't know. They just don't know that. They think that everything's hacking because that's all that's kind of talked about, because it's just popular, right? So if you put all that stuff on your resume, that's why I tell you as a student, you need to put that on your resume now. If you want some guidance on like where to go to get this kind of information, there's a couple places you can go to, but let me show you a couple preliminary ones that you should start off with and check out. One is called CIS Critical Security Controls. This is a pretty good one. And what you're going to notice is a pattern here. I'm going to show you the pattern. You would think all cybersecurity is about just hacking, and it's absolutely not. And let me demonstrate. Hacking is a tiny, tiny fragment of what cybersecurity is. And if you've done any of these things on here, as a matter of fact, some of this isn't even system admin work, you'll notice. But here's what I'm talking about. Let me just make this a little bit bigger so that the TikTok people can see it. Let me see. Go like that. Go like that. Look at this. So if you've ever done baseline work, that's like making sure there's an inventory of your hardware and software. That's a part of cybersecurity. Some people kind of split hairs and say, well, that's not cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is hacking. Cybersecurity is system security analyst work, working in a SOC. No, listen, you could call it what you want. So, and then they say, okay, well, it's not cybersecurity. You're talking about GRC. You're talking about information security. Okay, call it whatever you want. But I'm telling you, if you put this stuff on your resume, you can get a cybersecurity job. Data protection, that's encryption. If you've ever put encryption on a system. Access control management, that's what I was talking about with making sure you had accounts on your system and making sure that those accounts are rule-based access, making sure that only certain people can go to only certain files and only certain systems. That's account management, access management. Email, if you've ever managed email, if you've ever managed the phishing campaigns, if you've ever locked down your browsers, if you've ever done security awareness training, if you've ever implemented the awareness training. Data recovery, if you've ever done backups, you want to put that on your resume. Audit logs, turning audit logs on and off, monitoring the audit logs. If you've ever done continuous vulnerability management, that's applying vulnerabilities, making sure vulnerabilities are eliminated off your network, not eliminated, but mitigated or remediated on your network. If you've ever done malware defense, that's making sure that the signatures on your malware. So there's a ton of other stuff besides just hacking that you could put on your resume right now if you happen to be in IT. So let me show you another one. There's another, by the way, this is the CIS controls. These are controls that governments all over the world use. These are organizations, companies all use this group of controls. This is not new. And if you've ever heard of the CIS benchmark, this is the organization that comes up with that. And it's kind of like a STIG, a security technical implementation guide. But let me show you another one. This is what the US government uses, and it's called the NIST 853. Now, if you're interested in this kinds of stuff, then I actually have a free book that's breaking all this stuff down for you. Right now, it's talking about the NIST 800 controls. It's free on Amazon on Kindle right now. If you go to link in description, go there. There's like a little button, takes you straight there. I'm looking for reviews, and that's why I'm making it free, but it's only free for a limited amount of time. So here's some more controls that you want to check out. And you'll notice like a pattern here. Now, keep in mind, this is government. But look what they're doing. Audit and accountability. This is event logs right here. This right here, what I'm showing you right here on the screen is event logs. Another one is configuration management. So configuration management is baselines. That's the inventory, the software and hardware inventory. So they have different names for it, but it's really the same stuff. Here's one for account management. This is part of account management. They actually break it up into two parts. One is access controls, which goes into creating accounts and things like that. But you also have identification and authentication, which is passwords, username, passwords, and then multi-factor authentication and stuff like that. They've got incident response. That's another one. They've got some other ones too. But my point with this stuff is, hold on, let me switch my screen real quick. So my point is that this isn't not just for one industry. The federal government does this. The CIS controls, which is private organizations, do this. You've got one for banking. You've got one for retail. You've got one for healthcare industry. All of them kind of say the same thing. These are all best security practices that all of us must use. And you actually at your house, you probably use the same thing. You have a username and password. You have multi-factor authentication on your email, on your personal email, on your phone. Like all those things are basic. If you don't have those basic things, that's when people get hacked. When you hear about those gigantic hacks happening and all the Target losing 1 million records or whatever it is, it's usually because they didn't do one of those things that's on that list. That is cybersecurity. It's not just hacking. All right. Let me see. Lee said, I have 10 months of IT experience getting my associate degree next spring. I'm done with pen testing. Yeah, that's awesome. Cracking projects. And I'm also done with vulnerability scans as scans with Nessus. That's awesome. That's the kind of stuff you want to put on your resume, and start now. If you're a student, start right now putting that stuff on your resume so people know that you have that skill set. Even if you don't have the experience, you can put it on your resume as a skill. You can put it on your profile on LinkedIn, on Dice, on Monster as a skill. Let me see here. I got some subject matter experts answering questions. I appreciate you guys. Thanks a lot, because I'll just be going on a tangent. Cybersecurity includes pen testing, vulnerability management, risk and governance, IAM, SOC, that's Security Operations Center, IR, incident response, DevOps, application security, AppSec. Yes, this guy knows what he's talking about. That's exactly right. It's a huge field. It's very large. Like, it's very big. So a lot of people think that people who don't know any better, and it's no big deal. I mean, I thought it was just hacking too when I first started. But it's not. It's a huge field. And as a matter of fact, you might not know this, but even there's a lot of mathematicians are in cybersecurity, and it's called cryptography. So cryptographers is included in the cybersecurity family, because they're learning how to, now their background is like doing math proofs and stuff, but but they're part of cybersecurity because they do encryption. Encryption is a cornerstone of cybersecurity. Let me see. How do I transfer from the healthcare administration to cybersecurity? I love this question. I get this question quite often, and so much so that I'm thinking about writing a whole book about it. I get this question a lot, and I can actually answer this question. So, there's a couple of industries that lend themselves to getting into IT. I'll name a couple of them. One is the financial sector. If you happen to be in that sector, you're in luck, because you could probably make a pretty good transition into IT or cybersecurity. Healthcare is another one. In healthcare, you guys have some of your own standards called HIPAA, and it's dealing with protection of our healthcare records, protection of our personal information for healthcare, and digitizing healthcare, and then making sure that's still protected, if that makes any sense. And that's all covered under HIPAA. So if you, as a healthcare professional, number one, you're going to know certain terminology and how hospitals and healthcare facilities work, more so than myself, I've never worked in a hospital. I've worked for healthcare industries, but I've never worked in a hospital. Like, you would know that culture better than me. And you'd also know parts of HIPAA better than me, because you've actually worked with it and probably had way more training on it than I have. So that being said, you can actually put that on your resume. And if you happen to be in residence, if you happen to be in the healthcare industry right now, what I would do is I would try to work for them. I would try to get in there, and I would try to work for them. I would see if there was some kind of way to transfer and work in that hospital doing IT work. That way you could start working on it and breaking down and getting all the experience that you need. And actually, they might even hire up. They might even make you have a lateral change where they're paying you to work there, and then you start leveling up in that other part of the field. So if you happen to be doing this as a healthcare professional and you want to transfer over into IT, you probably have an advantage over a lot of people. I'm at the help desk trying to pick a lane. What do you recommend? Um, Depends on what you want to do. What kinds of things do you want to do? Um, and I can give you some pointers. But what I would do, I can tell you this. Some of the things you want to do, first of all, is put all the security stuff you've done on your resume. Like I was talking, I don't know if you were on here earlier, but if you've done whenever you've turned on audit logs, or if you've have to actually look at the audit logs and analyze the logs to see if there's any, to troubleshoot a system, or to see if there's any anomalous stuff inside of this going on with the system, you need to put that on your resume as conducting analyzing security logs on your resume right there. That's the security. If you're on the help desk, you've already done security. So my advice to you is to put security stuff on your resume immediately. If you've ever done audit logs analysis, put that on your resume. Just like I told you, that's exactly the wording you use. If you want to get more wording, what you want to do is go on to LinkedIn and look at other people's resume to see how they word it. If you've ever turned on event logs, if you've ever analyzed event logs, analyze security logs, you want to put that on your resume. Another thing is if you've ever done malware defense. That's a key word. Malware defense is a key word. Now, you might be thinking, well, I'm on the help desk, Bruce. I've never done any cybersecurity malware defense. Yeah, you have. Have you installed any kind of malware antivirus on any computer? You have. If you're on the help desk, at some point you have. If you've ever updated the signatures, you want to put that on your resume. If you've ever helped out with documentation, the policy stuff. I remember sometimes as a policy person, I would reach out to help desk. I would reach out to firewall guys. I would reach out to different parts of our organization and say, hey, could you help me with this text? Is this correct? I would usually write it and then give it to them and say, is this right? Is this what you guys do? If you've ever helped with that, you've actually helped with policy. You've assisted in helping, you've written policies for your organization. You want to put that on your resume because that's hot. If you've ever taught users how to use certain features on your system, that's security awareness training. You can put that on your resume. So there's tons of stuff you've already done that you want to put on your resume if you're cybersecurity. Now, if you're network, if you want to go into network security or network engineering, then there's tons of stuff. And help desk is a fulcrum. Like help desk can go many different ways. So as a help desk person, the beautiful thing about help desk is that you've already had exposure to so many things. If you wanted to go into networking, you would want to explain how you were able to troubleshoot to connect systems to the network. You would want to explain that you know the OSI model. You would want to explain that you know TCP/IP. You want them to know that you've worked in mixed mode environments. You'd want to be able to do all this stuff. You want to articulate all the things that you have done related to networking, related to security, related to even sometimes there's some help desk guys who actually do a little bit of software development. If you ever had to help them work on the website and you had to do a little bit of JavaScript, and you might not think it's a big deal, but there's organizations who will pay you very well to do these things, but you got to put it on your resume. If you don't put it on your resume, nobody's going to know that you know those skills. But everybody's so fixated on, can I hack? I can hack. I want to hack. I want to put pen testing on my resume. I'm a pen tester. I know Kali Linux. That's one aspect of cybersecurity. It's one tiny sliver of it. I'm not telling you not to do it. Hacking is fun. It's dope. It's incredible. But there's so many other things that organizations are wanting, and hacking is just one tiny sliver of it. It's one tiny part of what you need to know. Hacking is incredible. Don't get me wrong. Like if you could do it, like pen testing, red teaming, all that kind of stuff, because it's training you on multidisciplinary technical things. So you definitely want to do that. But I'm saying that there's many other aspects of the cybersecurity spectrum that you could put on your resume that other people are looking for, that you can even get paid more, to be honest with you. Have you ever worked in a SOC? Yes. So the two things that I'm best at is that I've done the most work on is security operations centers. I was a cybersecurity analyst, So I could talk to that one. I've been out for a while, but I still know it. I still have an idea how it works, I should say. And then risk management framework, doing GRC type stuff, governance, risk, and compliance. That's really my main bread and butter. But I've done both of those two things in cybersecurity. Let me see. I lack experience and knowledge implementing security controls. Should I set up a lab and implement security controls, then test with Kali Linux? Which controls do you recommend I implement? This is Aubrey. This is a great question. Yes, the answer is yes. So this is what I did when I was first starting out. I would set up a lab on my. You could do this nowadays. You can do it on your computer, but whatever way you do it. So okay. So Aubrey's question is, she doesn't have experience in actually implementing security controls, and she wants to get it. So one of the things that you can do to sharpen your skills is to set up a lab in your house on your computer. You can do this. There's a couple of different virtual systems that will allow you to do this. One's called VirtualBox. You can download that one. I never personally used that one, but it's free. VirtualBox, load that up, and then you'll be able to upload different operating systems on that and play around and put them like to a pseudo network. Another one's called, if you're going into network security, network engineering, is one called GNS3. And when I was doing it, it was free. I don't know if it's still free because that tool is very effective. So that tool right there, GNS3, allows you to hook up. It's so cool. It allows you to set up these little fake switches and routers, and you could set up like a small network, like a LAN, a local area network, and see how the packets go back and forth. Or you could set up like 2 different networks and have a WAN, like have a LAN over here and a WAN over here, and figure out how data is routed from one network to another. And all this is on your desktop, and you're seeing how all this stuff works. And at the very least, on your resume, you'll be able to say, I know how open shortest path first works. That's a routing protocol for Cisco. Actually, for routing, for networking, for routers in general. You can also set up. One of my favorite ones is VMware. VMware is really cool. So VMware, that one I believe costs you some money after 14 days. But VMware allows you to set up like 2 or 3 different systems, and then you can have one is Kali Linux. And then you could use Kali Linux to hack your Windows systems. You can load up a Linux system on there, a Red Hat, Ubuntu, a Windows system on there, and then you have Kali Linux, and then hack those systems, like send packets to those, see if you could set up the host-based firewall on that Windows system or that Red Hat system to see if it'll stop the packets from going over there. Just check it out. Just implementing that alone is going to teach you so much. It's going to teach you about command line interface. You're going to get frustrated because the shit's it's not going to work. You got to figure out the networking and how that works. You got to figure out that the networking needs a gateway to talk to each other. You're going to have to figure out the virtual side of it. You're going to learn 4 or 5 different things just setting it up. It's incredible learning. So yes, the answer is yes, absolutely. That's a great way to get the knowledge and the experience. Now, as far as experience on your resume, you could probably use it. You could probably use it as a project. I've heard people wording it in a way that you could say, I set up a project on your resume, but really it's going to go into your skill set. And the things you could put on there is like, VMware, how to use GNS3, routing protocols, like you could do all that stuff on your own. Somebody said packet tracer. Yeah, you could use tools like packet tracer. You could use tools like network Nmap. You could use tools like all this you could set up on your computer, Wireshark, all that stuff, and just tear the stuff apart. You want to kind of choose, what I would recommend is to choose like one path, because you don't want to get too in the weeds on too many different things, because that's kind of what I did. Like I was really excited, so I started doing all this different stuff. Just kind of choose one area. And your question was, what security controls should you set up? So what you could do is have 2 different Windows systems. To set up 2 different virtuals. This is what I used to do. Set up 2 different virtual systems on a network, right? And one has no security at all. It's just vanilla, out the box, Windows 95. And then just put it out there. And then the other one is like a Windows 10, Windows 11 system, and you harden it. That means out the box, first of all, what you'll notice is Windows 11 and Windows 10 already has security features that are on by default, which is incredible because Windows 95 didn't. Little things like that you'll start to notice. One thing I would recommend you do is set up accounts on there. One account that's open with no password, no username, and then try to crack the passwords, or use easy passwords and then mess around with password cracking. That's really fun. Another thing you could do is mess around with host-based firewalls. Have one system, Windows 95 or whatever, Windows 98, whatever old system, no firewall, no nothing on it, and then have another system and set up the firewall on it. That's one security control you could set up and harden the system. Another thing you can do, check this out. You can use CIS benchmark and use it to set up a secure configuration on that system. Benchmark, what it'll do is walk you through all the steps you need to do to harden the system. That means make the system a hard target. So if somebody try to hack it, it's super hard to hack. And then another thing you can use is STIGs, which is Security Technical Implementation Guides that are coming from Department of Defense. And what you want to do with those is do the same thing. Walk through all the security features, turn them on, and then see what happens, see what you're hacking. And then you can, on this Linux system, on this other attack box, on this Linux, Kali Linux or whatever you're going to use, you can even just use a Windows box with a bunch of downloaded tools on it, hacker tools, and then do a denial of service attack on both of those systems just to see if the packets will come through. Like you can just do stuff like that to kind of do some training. So that's what I would recommend. It's really fun. I used to do that all the time. Another thing I would do, this is really cool. So you set up a virtual system. Windows 95, Windows 98 was great for this. And then you start surfing the web from that virtual box and see what happens. Don't put any security on it. Don't just go to random ass sites. Go to sites you know are infected and then see what happens. It's crazy how fast it gets hacked because there's stuff constantly on there automatically at all times, trying to find IPs that are not secure. Another thing you could do, I used to do this all the time. You could set up like a website and then just don't put any security on it and just set it out there and then just see how long it takes for it to get hacked. So I don't know. There's a few things you can do. I'm really enjoying your lives, but I have to run. Okay, man. Thank you for joining me. If you guys didn't know, before you leave, Yandy, I got a free book, link in description, link in bio. Free for a limited time only. I do this so I can get some reviews on Amazon. It's my best-selling book, so go ahead and go grab it. It's going to be on Kindle for free for a limited time. It's actually a 2-book bundle. Price is $0. The only cost is your review. I really appreciate all the reviews. Are better than money for me. So if you can give me a review, I really, really appreciate it. And I have another book coming out, but that one's going to take me a couple weeks I'm going through the process of like editing and all that kind of stuff I got to do for it. But that one's going to be, what I do is I give the book out for free for a limited time so I can get the reviews. And then that helps out with the algorithm on Amazon. So that's why I give it away for free. Let me see here. What are some good projects to gain experience and add to my resume in the Security Operations Center? Good experience. A lot of times, what I've noticed is that people don't put the experience that they already have, to be honest with you. You've probably already done some awesome things that I haven't even done, but you don't put them on your resume. A lot of people will contact me and they'll send me their resume, and they'll tell me that they did. Like one person sent me their resume and I said, have you done, they said, hey, I want to do cybersecurity. And if this is you, I'm not dissing you. I'm just saying this happens actually a lot. So somebody sent me their resume and they said, hey, I'm trying to do cybersecurity analyst work and here's my resume. And I looked at the resume. I was like, okay, well, this is all right. But have you used any tools? Because I don't see any tools on your resume. And it turns out I was like, oh yeah, I use Nessus and I use Nmap and I use, like, they name all these tools. I'm like, why didn't you put it on your resume? Like, it's not on your resume. Like, that's literally, so many people are looking for people who know Tenable and know all these other tools. Like, you got to put that on there. So what I'm trying to tell you is you probably already did some things that you need to put on your resume. If you know any, if you work in a SOC, if you already work in a SOC, you said what's good for a SOC. But if you already work in a SOC, if you already work on a help desk and you worked on any of these, any kind of security tools, you want to put that on your resume. If you, troubleshooting is also a good thing to put on your resume. Network troubleshooting is a good thing to put on your resume because that's showing that you understand networking enough to actually fix networking issues. What's another thing you can put on your resume? That's really good. Command line interface is a good thing. But scripting, if you know how to do scripting, that's a good thing to put on a resume. If you know Python, put that on your resume. If you know, let me see what else. If you know, there's a couple really, really good tools. If you know Splunk, if you know Jira, if you know Agile, if you know, oh man, what's the other one? If you know how to use Archer, GRC, if you know EMAS, if you know, oh man, what's another one? HBSS, also known as Semantic EPO. If you know Tenable, if you know Qualys, if you know any of these things, you got to put them on your resume. If you know any kind of scanners, any scanners whatsoever, put that on your resume. Any kind of tools, list them by name and talk about your experience using them, and definitely show impact. If you scanned 100 systems, make sure you tell them you scanned over 100 systems to show impact that, hey, I've been scanning. So what are some good projects to gain experience? So some good projects, I would say for SOC, they're going to want you to be a security analyst. So security analysts know a few different tools that you could actually use right now. You could do Tenable. Tenable you can download. That's a scanning tool. I believe they let you download Nessus for like 7 to 14 days. Another one is Splunk, which is a SIEM, a security event information manager. You can download that one, I think, for about 7 days. You can start messing with that one. Another tool, some free tools. I don't think Wireshark's free anymore. That used to be free that's how long I've been doing this. But Wireshark's another one. Packet analyzers, packet tracers. Nmap is another good one. There's a whole bunch of tools that you can use that are free. Like there's some sniffers that you can use. Packet analysis, a lot of that's free, but it's just really complicated. Any of those will do. So those are some tools you can mess around with. If you just put that on your resume, actually, that's awesome to know those because they're pretty complicated. Somebody said Wireshark. Somebody said SIME and EDR. Some of these I've never even heard of them before. Okay, somebody said, I'm a service desk technician with about 2 years of experience, and I got an A+, and I'm going for my security plus. I think I already read that one. Somebody said packet analysis. Yep. TCP dump. That's the one I was trying to think of. That's another good one to learn for SOC. Let me see. Let me go to YouTube here. YouTube, Facebook, Indeed. I'm still watching you guys. LinkedIn, watching you guys. Callie says security controls is not implemented or configured by one. So I'll expand on what I think you're talking about, Callie. We were talking about what somebody asked me, Aubrey asked me, what kinds of security controls should they implement on a lab? And I went down a line of some stuff you can do. And the thing is, not all security controls are technical. There's different kinds. There's patches you can upload. But the patching process really is the security control. There's configurations you can do on operating systems and on applications that will harden the application so that it's not vulnerable. There's also processes that are not technical at all. There's like teaching people within the organization. Physical security is considered a security control. There's lots of different, I think that's what Callie was talking about, is that security controls is not just technical stuff. It's also things that your organization does. Let me see. Somebody said, I helped construct a building on 4 VMware in Silicon Valley. Some dudes coming to work in Lambos and Ferraris. Yeah, man, VMware is no joke. That's a multi-billion-dollar company. They struck while the iron was hot. They were one of the pioneers of virtualization, and they just perfected it. I mean, they just kind of cornered the market. They're the top. They're the world's, I want to say they're the top. They might be the top outside of China. VMware is the top virtualization organization in the world. Yeah, those guys it's no joke. They're making a killing. I don't even think their stocks went down when all this stuff happened, because they're on another level. Let me see. If you guys are joining this late, we're just having a conversation about cybersecurity. I got people on TikTok, got people on Facebook, on Indeed, on YouTube that are watching, adding comments, asking questions, and it's just an open conversation about cybersecurity. And we also have some people listening over here on Podbean. Let me see if this is still up. It is. So if you happen to be listening to me, thanks for listening. If you guys didn't know, right now for a limited time only, there is a free on Kindle risk management framework book. It's my most popular book. It's not for everybody. All right. It's definitely not for everybody. But if you happen to want to know more about NIST 800, it's going to walk you through that process. NIST 800 is it's a security compliance framework, a set of rules. That's what framework is. It's just a set of rules that says, okay, if you are trying to do, if you're trying to do security controls on a federal system, here's what you do. And it just walks you through the whole process of how to do that. That is what the book is about. And it's walking you through that whole process. And it's talking in layman's terms. I'm not using a bunch of jargon. I'm not using not a lot of the academia stuff that you get from the special publications of NIST 800. It's just like I'm talking to you like I'm talking to you now, as an experienced person talking to a person who's trying to get in the field, and I'm telling you practical things on how to do it. That's what the book is about. It's free for now. It's only going to be free till I think Tuesday. I can't remember. I think I said it for like 5 days, the max that I can do. And I'm trying to get reviews. If you're wondering, well, mate, why is it free? It's free because I don't want to make it free. But I have to get reviews. So yeah, it's free for only a few more days, and it's only free on Kindle. Unless you happen to be on my newsletter, and I might have sent you a PDF version of it so you can review it for me. But yeah, free for a limited time. I have other books that are coming out. If you follow me on a regular basis, I'll have other stuff coming, but it takes me a while to actually go through the process of cleaning up the book and, putting the cover on it and doing the formatting and all that kind of stuff. Let me see. Hype is Love says ESXi, Workstation Pro, Horizon. Oh, those are all the products of VMware right there. I'm familiar with that stuff. Great products. Great products. Use some of that stuff. Javier says, I'm a system analyst and have an interview coming up in 7 days. Congratulations. System analyst. Okay. I'm really a beginner in cybersecurity. What would be a quick tutorial that I can look over to shine? I have a bit of ACAS training. Thanks. Huh. It depends on you said system analyst, cybersecurity analyst. MITRE. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Here's a way you can shine right here. Not many people know this one. So recently, a bunch of large organizations have moved over to this right here. This is one of the ones that you could do quickly. Let me see if I can find their main site. MITRE Attack Framework. This is one of the ones you could check out. I'll just show you this site. Show you. This is one of the things you could do. So this is MITRE Attack Framework is a, let me see if I can switch this over to TikTok here. I don't know how much of this you guys will be able to see, but MITRE Attack Framework is a list of rules, tools, techniques, and tactics that scanners use, attackers use to infiltrate large organizations. And so what they've done is they boiled it down to like a basic, like a common body of knowledge to help protect your organization against these types of attacks. So if you kind of know this one, if you kind of know this right here and like know this whole process, know about this whole, I would just go ahead and check this out to just show, yeah, I know what it is, because they might ask you about this. And if you happen to know this, then I would like read through it, like just polish up on the information on it. But yeah, so this is one I would probably take a look at. What else could you look at? MITRE Attack Framework. You said they're looking for something. They're looking for something in scanning. I'll be going into a junior cybersecurity analyst. Okay, so if it's with the federal government, they're gonna. So okay, so the last interview I had. I'm working for the government right now. So the last interview I had, we do some scanning, but there's a whole nother team that does most of the scanning. But they did ask me some questions about security analyst, doing security, analyzing results of a scan. So they might ask you about that. So I would polish up on analyzing what you do to analyze the results of a scan, because they may ask you. That's one of the things that they might ask you. Have you ever analyzed? Because it's one thing to run a scan, but when you get the results back, you have to be able to read it. So they might ask you about that. So I would, if you've ever done it before, I would just kind of rehearse like what you've done. If you've never done it before, so what you want to do, you said ACAS, right? You've used ACAS. What you want to do to analyze the results of a scan is that there's two things that you need to really look at. Those two things that I look at. One is the plugin output. The plugin output is going to tell you how Nessus arrived at its conclusion. It's telling you what and where it looked at to determine whether or not this particular vulnerability system or application is vulnerable, because it'll say something like the system is on an outdated version of X. It's on version 1.1.0 and it should be on 1.1.5. The reason why the plugin output is important is because when you look at it, sometimes it's not relevant to what it's actually scanning. So that's one of the first things you want to look at for security analyst work. The other thing is the solution, because as a cybersecurity person, a lot of times they're looking at us to find the solution. So we have to actually look at the solution to see if that is relevant to our environment, because sometimes it's not. So those are the two things that you're going to look at to do cybersecurity analyst work. So if they ask that question, you can say exactly what I just said, and they'll be like, okay, and that'll be that. I really want to learn risk management framework, and it's for the government. Okay, so if you want to know risk management framework, which they're going to ask you about, if they're going to ask you about it, then there's a couple of great resources you can use. One of them is, I'll show you one of them. Actually, you can check out my free book right now. So if you go to my link in description, book is free on Kindle right now for a limited time only. The book is breaking down the NIST 837 and the NIST 853. But if you want a more comprehensive view of these things, I'm going to show you right now where you can go. You should do both, to be honest with you. Go check out my book while it's free. It's talking to you about it in layman's terms, in a way that it's very straightforward, and it's very it's not. What you'll notice when you start reading these documents, let me show you what documents I'm talking about. Okay, this is the NIST 837. So this is where you can go if you want to find it. Just go to Google, type in NIST 837 Rev 2, and you'll find exactly what I'm looking at here on the page. But you want to download this right here, and this is going to take you to the risk management framework. Now, the Department of Defense, Department of Homeland Security, all these other organizations, they're taking exactly step by step this framework right here. And sometimes they'll have their own names for certain features in there, but for the most part, 90% of it is this right here that you're looking at. The book that I wrote breaks this down in plain English, but this publication is about what, 200 pages? 200 pages. I boil this down in about 80, probably about 60 pages or less. I break down exactly what you need to know, of exactly what you need to do in the practical. I mean, it's very straightforward. And then the other document that you want to read after this one, you want to read this one first, but the other one that's really important is going to be the NIST 800. This one you don't have to read all because it's very exhaustive. This one's like hundreds of pages long, and it just goes through all the security controls, of which there's about 1,000. So my book also talks about this. And what I do is I take an approach where I'm not going to cover every single control in my book. I just talk about the families. So what I do is I take each family and say, here's the important 3 you need to know out of all 30, because you don't need to know all 30. Yeah. So yeah, check out that book. It's free right now for a limited time. It's to help people like yourself, because I was in the position that you're in, where I was for the first time getting into this career path, and then wondering like, what the heck's going on? They don't give you no context. So what I do is I give you a context right out the box. I'm telling you, this is what we use it for. This is why it's like this. This part's stupid. Don't read this. I don't even say that. I don't even waste my time on it. It's not in the book. And I say, here's what you need to know. That's it. Straight to the point. And it's just like I'm talking to you right now. Let me see. I got some other questions here. Let me see. I also offer practical information. Like I'll talk about like real things that happen for the PE controls, for example. PE controls are physical and environmental controls. And I'll tell you, what's environment got to do with physical? And here's why it's important. That's the kind of stuff that I'll talk about in the book. A lot ask for clearance. Okay, you guys are having a whole conversation here. I appreciate that. That's great. I'm looking for more comments. Okay. You guys are having a conversation about clearances. I'm looking for the beginning of this conversation. The crazy job market people talk about refers to the upper levels, not entry. No one wants to. Downloading the book ASAP. Thank you so much, Mary. I appreciate that. Leave a comment too. So I talk a lot about entry level. To be honest, like I've talked a lot about it. But my issue with entry level is most people, something like 75% of the people who I talk to on TikTok in particular, are just window shoppers. And that's not, I'm not saying that's bad, right? But they don't really know what they want. They're looking around. I would rather talk to serious people who are really in this and really trying to do this. But I got to sort through a million people who are just window shoppers. They're not in, they're just coming here and they're like, maybe I want to make six figures. And it's like, dude, most people don't just come in this field and just make six figures. I know that a lot of YouTubers, a lot of these YouTubers, these cybersecurity YouTubers, man, they are driving me crazy. Oh my God. These cybersecurity guys, man. Oh my goodness. These influencers. Like, I make six figures and I travel the world. I'm not saying that that's not possible, like right out the box. I'm not saying that's not possible. So the one guy on TikTok who said he did that, I'm not saying the guy's a liar or anything, but he said he got the OSCP. So do you know how hard the freaking OSCP is? This dude, he's got to be really sharp because the OSCP is hella hard for somebody who's new. It's not easy. So this dude went, studied his ass off, and passed the OSCP within like 6 months. And he also got a master's degree from GWU or something like that. You know how hard that is? Most people can't do that. And I'm just trying to like bring some reality to this. The reality is most people have kids. WGU. I apologize. So the reality is most people got kids. This dude is single. He got nothing else to do but study and has great discipline, and happens to be really smart. Most people got kids or something, or they got some obligations they have to take care of, or they're a grown-ass adult who already have a job. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying you're not smart enough. Really, it's time. If you really look at what's happening, a lot of us just don't even have time, especially if you're already an adult. You just don't have time to give 5 hours of training a week to what it's going to take for you to become a cybersecurity person. I mean, you have the time, but if you listen, it's not easy. If you already have if you're coming out of high school, all right, and you got nothing else to do, you live with your parents and they're supporting you or whatever, then yes, you can. I'm not gonna say it's easy, but it's just gonna take some. Really, it's gonna be discipline. That's the hard part. Will be the discipline. It's not hard. It's just the discipline. Like, there's things that's hard. Like math proofs are hard. Calculus is hard, right? Like, that stuff's hard. Cybersecurity, I would say it takes a lot of discipline. I wouldn't say it's accessible to most people. I'd say most people could do it with the discipline. Most people just don't have the discipline to do it. But the thing is, if you don't have the time to do it, that's a whole different ball game. You're going to another career field. Do you know how difficult that is? I did it. It is freaking hard. That shit was hard. I was in the military. I was a security. I was a weapons expert, and I was trying to cross train into IT. It was hard. I had to work my ass off to transfer over, and then when I got in, I was so excited that I just kept learning and learning and learning. I had a full-time job in the military where we were working 16 hours a day, right? You don't work no 8-hour shifts usually in the military. So I was working like 16 hours, and then I would go and study and go to school and go, like, so it's time. Time is the hard part for grown-ass adults. If you happen to be a student your parents are still there for you, congrats. I'm not taking nothing back from how hard it's still going to be, but the lack of time, that's really the hard part. Other than that, there's the discipline piece. So the discipline part, I say, could be hard because it's hard to, especially if you want to go out and party with your friends. Sometimes you got to be like, nah, I got to study for the CISSP. You know what I mean? I got to study. Like, I got to take this test in 2 weeks. I got to take this test in security plus test. It's kicking my ass. I got to go take this test. I got to go study. I don't have time to hang out with the boys. Byron said, I just got 4-month prep course through VA, A+, Security Plus, Network Plus, Cloud. Now have to take the cert. Congrats. The best one of those three you just said. I don't know about the cloud. I don't know if you mean Cloud Plus, but the most marketable one among those, if you don't pass nothing else, is Security Plus. Pass the Security Plus. Do you have any background in IT? Do you have like a help desk background or anything like that? That'll help you out a lot. I'm saying this because you want to put that stuff on your resume. Security Plus, Network Plus. I would say Security Plus is, I don't know about Cloud. Network Plus has dubious marketability. I don't recommend. See, I would say the reverse. I would say the A Plus is more marketable than the Network Plus. I have all three of those certifications, by the way. I have the A Plus. I have two different versions of the Network, the Security Plus, because I used to teach it, and I have the Network Plus. I had Security Plus and Network Plus when they like first came out, that don't expire. So it's been a while. Passed the Security Plus yesterday. Congrats. Great certification. 20 years Navy retired operations specialist. You sound like a manager. So that's great. That's great. So what I would do if I were you, Byron, is I would lean into your management background. If I were you, once you get your Security Plus, you can lean into your management background, because one of the things that's really lacking from this career path of IT and cybersecurity is a lack of having good managers who are fairly technical. So that's what you could do. And actually management positions pay a little bit more too. I have an A Plus, a Security Plus, and a Network Plus. Yeah, I have all three of those, but they're kind of outdated. I haven't done them in a long time. So, and A Plus is long since. I mean, they've evolved that thing so many times. I don't technically have one anymore. I would say of the three, the one that helped me the most was a Security Plus. I would say Network Plus helped me to learn the basics of networking. Like I took the Network Plus before I took a CCNA. And that helped me out a little bit. But as far as marketability, Security Plus is the most marketable one. If you have zero experience, then the A Plus, I would recommend going for that one. No prior IT experience. Yeah, okay. So now what you want to do, Senpai, is go through is focus on finding an entry-level IT position. Don't be picky. Get yourself an entry-level IT position where you're hands-on. That really what you want is like a hands-on type job. But if you have to go to like a, call center type, technical call center job, then you can do that too. That'll help you a little bit. But you really want a hands-on where you're fixing computers, help desk type job is one of the best jobs you can get, unless you can land yourself an entry-level cybersecurity job, which do exist, an entry-level cybersecurity job where they're going to actually teach you on the job and stuff like that. That's actually be really good too, but better actually, but they're just harder to find. I'm in a boot camp, a cyber boot camp. Do you think it's worth it? It depends on, I'm going to be completely honest with you, Kiona. It depends on the cyber boot camp. I'm not going to, please don't tell me how much you paid for it. But in my personal opinion, I forgot my mic is here. Sorry. In my personal opinion, if you happen to get the opportunity to go to a boot camp, number one, I've been to boot camps before. Okay. So, but normally my company will pay for it. So if you get the chance to go again, if you're gonna drop 9 or 10 grand on a boot camp, it's better to just go do. It's my personal opinion about it. Just go to school, put that money, invest it into a degree, because a degree is going to cost you, an associate's degree is going to be like a few $1,000s, right? It's not cheap, but thing is that associate's degree goes way farther than a many, I shouldn't say most, but it goes further than many certifications. So my personal opinion, if you're going to drop 10K on a boot camp, it's better to just go ahead and drop that 10K on a degree, even if it's with a community college getting an associate's degree in information technology. My personal opinion about it. And here's why. With that associate's degree in information technology or information systems or cyber, whatever it is, you'll be able to build towards a bachelor's degree, and a bachelor's degree opens up all kinds of doors for you. But an associate's degree does too. That said, if you're doing the boot camp for Security Plus, which is highly marketable, you have a chance of getting yourself in some kind of organization. They typically are looking for experience, but the market right now in cybersecurity is hurting so bad that we really, really need people. So all you got to do is just start looking. I'm not telling you you're going to get the first job that you apply for, but I'm telling you if you don't try, if you don't put yourself out there, you have zero opportunities. But if boot camp is better than nothing, like if you have the opportunity, you have the money, you have the resources to do a boot camp, go ahead and do it. But if you have a choice between a boot camp and a degree, get the degree. A degree is going to take longer, but when you're done with it, it's going to take it's a long-term gain. You're thinking long-term. Western Governors University degree worth it? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely worth it. And because the thing is, once you walk away with that degree, they also offer certifications while you're working on that. And they cater to working adults. How do you get in with no degree? So there's right now, if you go to Indeed.com. Oh, first of all, let me back up. Okay. No degree. Okay, let's see. No degree is not impossible, right? No degree is not really a problem. No experience is a bit of an issue. It's going to be harder to find a job with no experience. That being said, you can find a job with no experience. What you cannot find a job for is no knowledge. If you have no knowledge of IT, you haven't done any studies, you haven't opened a book, you haven't done a lab, you haven't done anything at all, then you need to hit the books. You need to study, I would say. So number one, become a geek and start learning this stuff. Number one. Common body of knowledge I would recommend for somebody starting off from scratch, from nothing, would be A+ certification. That's because that's the first one I did. And that was the common body of knowledge is something I still use to this day. Granted, the architecture of hardware has changed quite a bit, but I had something to build on. You know what I mean? So, yeah, so I would recommend the A+ CompTIA if you don't know anything. If you're absolutely IT illiterate and you really don't know anything at all, first of all, you probably want to try something else. But there's other things you can do that's adjacent to IT that's makes as much or more money. Like project managers make more, like as much or more money than a lot of IT positions. So you might want to consider that. But if you're IT illiterate, there's a certification called really it's a program called CompTIA IT Fundamentals, which teaches like the jargon and all that kind of stuff. It's really starting from baby level. But if you know yourself your way, you've got a smartphone, like you mess around, like you've hacked a couple things at your house. Maybe you put your own network together. You know how to set up your own network and things like that. Then yeah, just do that. But you're trying to get into IT. The common body of knowledge that you're going to learn from A+ certification is a good start. I really can't speak on Google support IT. I don't have experience with it. I've never taken it. I don't personally know anybody who has, but a couple people on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on TikTok have told me, "Oh yeah, I have a certification with Google IT, and I got this X job or this, that. So I can't speak on it. When I do research on it, it doesn't look very marketable because it's so new. But A+ certification, I know people talk crap about it, but it was my first certification, and the common body of knowledge is what was very helpful for me to get my foot in the door, and knowledge wise. So once you get the knowledge, the next thing is to try to get the experience. And you can get this job without experience. You just got to look for them. But if you go to LinkedIn, on Monster, on Dice, and type in whatever job you want, I would say help desk if you're a beginner. And then look, you're going to filter by no experience, a no degree, one of those, whichever one. And then you'll find jobs. There won't be many. They don't pay very good, but it's a great way to get your foot in the door. It's going to be local too. And they're not normally not work from home. IT gives you experience. Oh, it gives you experience, and you can get your career easily if you have a TGE degree and with only plus. Let me see if I got any other questions here. Jermaine, how you doing, man? Jermaine said, hey, Bruce, thanks for all the hard work. What is the difference between an information security analyst and an IT security analyst? Thanks. An information security analyst and an IT security analyst. Not even familiar with. You know what, Jermaine? Let me ask everybody. I'm not sure. I mean, I think I know, but let me ask everybody. Okay, so Jermaine is asking, what is the difference between an information security analyst and an IT security analyst? I'm asking everybody. There's a bunch of high-level dudes on TikTok, so I'll let you guys answer. What I would say is that it depends on the organization. Every organization can name the roles whatever they want. So I would read the description to figure out what the difference is of those two, if you're given an option between the two. And somebody said, would an IT analyst be like a sysadmin role, kinda? That's the thing. I'd have to read the job description. They sound familiar. I mean, they sound very similar to me. If I had to guess, I'd say the information security analyst was more like a cybersecurity analyst, whereas the IT tech security analyst did more hardware stuff. But I'd have to read meaning like the information security analyst is a person who's in the security operations center, who's watching the screen and watching all the logs and trying to find anomalies based on the logs. Like seeing if somebody misauthenticated and then what happened, if they did it after hours or what's going on. And then an IT security analyst sounds like somebody who would do more of the hardware. I've done both of those jobs before, but we didn't call it IT security analyst and we didn't call it information security analyst. We called it cybersecurity analyst, and the IT security analyst one sounds like what I was doing for support. I was supporting the infrastructure that brought in the logs, and I was actually working on the actual system, the scene. It was called ArcSite, that brought in the logs. And so IT meaning the hardware piece. Like I had to make sure it was networking properly, it was storing the data properly we had like a network attached storage area I had to attach it to. So my time was spent mostly not on reviewing the logs, but making sure the logs worked properly. So I'm guessing, but Jermaine, what I would do is look at the job description of both and see what the differences are if you have the job descriptions for each of those. Because the organization they could swap them if, they can call it whatever they want. I hope that answers your question. Let me see. Can I ask you a few questions about going forward in my career? Yes, absolutely. Could I ask you a few questions about going forward in my career? Yes. What is your question? And then Jermaine has another question. He says, or comment, probably the information security analyst would not be much technical, and the IT security analyst would be more tech. That's what I'm thinking. Exactly, Jermaine. That's what I'm thinking. Is that I mean, really, they were both kind of technical. Whenever you have analyst work, what I've found is you're looking at logs, you're looking at you're analyzing the information that's coming through, so that is fairly technical. It's technical in a different way, I should say, because you do have to know. Like, we got to the point where we were breaking packets apart. Like, we would use PCAP, and it would break apart the actual packet, and then you'd see the hexadecimal, and you could figure out like if the packet had some sort of malware in it. It was pretty deep. So it was actually very technical, but in a different way. Whereas the hardware stuff, it was technical in that we were literally setting up the actual server, installing the software in there, and then we were making sure it worked properly, making sure the logs came in, make sure it networked properly, and then it was stored to a Brocade switch or whatever network attached storage area. So it was technical in that we were doing hardware stuff, and then the other one was technical in that you're doing more like breaking apart packets. So I don't know if I kind of went off on a tangent there. I don't know if that's answering the question. I'm currently working as technical support at QuickBooks through Concentrix, and I plan on starting. I'm currently working on technical support that's awesome. QuickBooks, the company, like Intuit. That's great. And you plan on starting what? Okay. Wow, that's awesome. So what's the question? If you guys didn't know, got free books out there right now, limited time only. Link in description, link in bio. Check it out. Looking for the reason why it's free for a limited time only. I do not want to make it free, by the way. I'm just doing that so I can get some good reviews. Anyway, okay, let's see. What do you think the entry level career example? What do you think the entry level career examples? Do you mean what do I think are some examples of entry level careers for IT? What do you think of? What do I think are entry level careers for cybersecurity? Um, you'll get some guys saying that there's no entry level cybersecurity jobs. Depends on what you call entry level, probably. I've seen some entry level cybersecurity jobs. I've seen entry level security operations center jobs. When I was working in a security operating center, as a matter of fact, I was overseas working for a military organization, and we were hiring very new people. I know because I was helping with the interviews, and we really needed people. And some of the questions that I would ask them is like basic port information. So I'm talking about they had to know some basic IT stuff, but even if they didn't have a lot of help desk background, we were willing to hire them. And this was years ago. because we just needed people. And this was hard shift work that a lot of people didn't want to do and didn't pay like you would get in certain places. So entry level, it's gonna be a lot. It will be called like a junior level security operating, like a junior SOC analyst. Like that would be an entry level job. And another one would be, I don't know. A lot of jobs are not called cybersecurity roles. They're not called. They don't have cybersecurity or in it in the name, but you're going to be doing a lot of cybersecurity stuff. And the thing is, a lot of people think that cybersecurity is just hacking, including the organizations. They think it's just, oh, am I doing threat analysis? Am I looking at logs? There's more to security than just that stuff. And so they won't call it that, but other names would be entry level positions I've seen is like that are not super technical or just like beginner type stuff would be some jobs that I've seen for policy. Like if it's called like a compliance officers, some of those guys are not very technical, and those can sometimes be entry level. If you knew a lot about, say, HIPAA, for example, and you just knew a lot about it, you could probably get an IT job as a HIPAA compliance person, and that pays pretty good. And that's kind of, you could probably do entry level there with no background in IT. So that one, I would say some of the policy positions, compliance officer jobs, security specialist, junior, they'll call it a junior cybersecurity specialist. And then you'll be working on like one tool underneath somebody else, and then they would like mentor you in. So there's a few different jobs that you could do with little or no IT background. You'd have to know some things. They're not going to expect you to not know anything. And that's why like a degree would help you a lot, especially if you've been doing a bunch of projects and you have a bunch of skill sets and you're just like a geek that has a lab in your house and stuff. You know how to use Nessus already, Splunk already, and stuff like that. And you already have an associate's or a bachelor's degree in cybersecurity or in information technology, and you've been doing this, they might give you a shot, especially if you're anxious to learn. They might give you a shot. Let me see. Somebody said, just graduated from a 6-month boot camp, and I am studying the N+, the Network Plus, the CYSA, no jobs yet. So John, I've applied for about 200 roles, and I'm just starting to move forward with interviews. I recommend taking the Google Cybersecurity Professional Certification on Coursera, and it also prepares you for the Security Plus as well. So how many interviews have you gotten so far? I'm curious to know more about your because that's a lot of applications. That's great. You haven't gotten a single interview. You don't have experience. Okay. What I would recommend is that it might be that you don't have the right keywords on there. It's going to be harder because you don't have experience, but number one, you got to make sure you got good keywords on there that organizations are looking for. There's certain keywords they're looking for. And here's another thing. Here's what I've done. Number one, I take a resume, ATS style resume. If you don't know what that is, Google it. If you want more background on an ATS style resume, on how to write a resume, link in description. You'll see a free downloadable of my resume, my personal real resume that got me the current job that I have now and the last 3 jobs that I have. It freaking works. Now I've got 20 years of experience, but the format is what I want you to look at. So look at the format of the resume. Download my resume, look at the format, look at how I word it. All right. Then the next thing you want to do, this cat is in here. This thing is live. I don't know why this cat, I forgot to shut the door. All right. What do you want, dude? Come on. So the next thing you want to do is after you format, you put it in that format, downloadable format that I showed you, ATS style resume. You want to put all all of your keywords in there. If you don't know where to find keywords, the best way to do it is to steal the keywords. I'm not telling you to lie to your resume, but I'm telling you where to get the keywords. What you want to do is go to LinkedIn and look for other people's resume. Do a search on whatever career path you're trying to do, whether it's IT or cybersecurity or whatever, and then look for people. Search under people. You can search jobs, groups. You want people. Search under people. Look for people who posted their entire resume. The top ones, the top 20, are going to be the ones that are the most keyword rich and that the algorithm likes. So you want to pay special attention to those and how they word their resume. What is the name of the resume again? So if you go in my link in description, link in bio, go there, and then I'll have something called free resume. Follow the links. You'll see a free resume. You can download it. Download my free resume. It's called an ATS style resume. ATS style resume. You want to fill that resume out. I'm not expecting you to go door to door and pass this thing out. That's not what we're doing. What you're going to do is go to the top. If you're looking for a job, if you're serious, listen, if you're serious, then your job should be to find a job. And what you want to do is upload it on the following sites: LinkedIn, Dice.com, Monster.com, Indeed.com, Career Builder, ZipRecruiter, in probably the top 30. If you're serious, the top 30, and then just don't stop. Once you upload your resume, this is important. This is what people do not do. Once you upload your resume, what you want to do is fill out the entire profile on each one of those sites that you're applying for. You don't want to just upload your resume and then leave. It will take you some work. It'll be frustrating. It's going to take you time to do it because you want to fill out 100% of each one, including putting a picture. Everything. You want to put everything on there, on all the sites I just mentioned, and then I would do the top 30 in whatever country you're trying to get into. In this case, I'm assuming it's the US. That's what you want to do. Then once you've uploaded your ATS style resume and you've filled out your entire profile, it's going to take you time to do this. The reason why I told you to do this is because once you upload your profile on all these different sites, the algorithm of each one of those sites is going to pick up on your resume. And what'll happen is they'll start to send you jobs. They'll start to send you jobs. Somebody said, I'm in the Middle East. So if you're looking for jobs in the Middle East, search for the top Middle East job sites. If you happen to be in the UK, search for the top UK job site. It's not the same everywhere. The sites I just named are the top job sites in the US. Okay, back to what we're talking about with John. So John, what you want to do, you got your resume uploaded. You've uploaded your profile on all those places. You took your time. You filled out 100% of every one of those profiles on all the top 30 places. The next thing it's tedious but worth it. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. So somebody on Indeed just said, so this person is doing what I'm telling you, is already doing this. Redundant for sure. Increase the redundancy. Yes. Listen, it sounds redundant. It's tedious. But the thing is, the job recruiters, the technical recruiters, the HR departments, they're on different platforms. They're on different platforms. Some of them are on 2 or 3 platforms, but there's some that are only on Dice. There's some that are only on Monster. So you got to put it on every single platform. Now, once it's on the platforms, each one of those has their own algorithm, their own things that they search. Like some of them will rank skills higher than others. Some of them will rank whether or not you put in all your biometrics in there, your your name and your phone number or whatever in there. Some of them will look, does this have a picture? Some of them will look at, okay, we only look at the experience. So you got to fill it completely out. So now what you want to do is start. I'm getting to that. Okay, you said, well, it's the entry level cybersecurity roles that require experience or in whatever. Listen, okay. So now what you want to do is, if you don't have experience, you can't be picky. Now what you want to do is get your foot in the door and start going through a list of what. Let me show you exactly how I would do it. You're probably not going to listen to me, but I'll tell you anyway. Nobody listens to me about this. Nobody buys the damn book. I wrote an entire book and have a whole course. Nobody buys it. I have not been out of employment because of what I'm telling you. This is free game. Nobody listens to this. There's a couple people, and they're making more money than me right now. I don't say. I don't know. We can't help everybody. That's holy crap, man. You cannot help everyone. And I'm not, it sucks to say that, but you can't help everybody because everybody just don't want to listen. I'm going to log into one of these sites. I'm going to show you exactly what I do. Once you, what's the best one to do this on? Probably LinkedIn, actually. I'm on LinkedIn right now. I hate seeing this freaking. There I am right there. Is this going to give me some feedback? Probably. I don't know. Okay. Let me show you what I'm going to do here. I'm going to switch my screen. You're on TikTok. Nobody listens to me about this, but I'll tell you guys anyway. Somebody out there listen. John probably won't listen, but somebody is going to listen to this. Somebody somewhere is going to be like, man, Bruce told me this a year ago, and damn, I'm making $200,000 a year now. So let me tell you. I'm just telling you what I've done all these years. Okay, so I'm on Indeed.com, right? And then I'm just going to search. If you're entry level, listen to what I'm trying to tell you. It's really going to be hard for you to find a cybersecurity job entry level. So you want to just do help desk. I'll tell you what to do for help desk once you get your foot in the door. Look for a help desk job. Now what you want to do, here's your help desk jobs, right? Now, when I was telling you, hey, find resumes, here's how you do it. Help desk people. This is how you find other people's resume. These top guys, there's a reason why they're on the top. So you want to pay very close attention how they word their stuff in there. All right, but we want to look at jobs now. I'm assuming we're at the point where you've already uploaded your resume. So now we go to jobs. And then what you're going to look for, once you've uploaded your resume, it'll actually recommend you jobs. The algorithm will recommend you jobs. And if everything is in there, you'll get something like that looks like this, easy apply. You want to apply to as many of these jobs as possible. You just hit this button and fill out a couple more things and you're done. Move on to the next one. These easy apply ones are going to make it so much easier for you. But you can't do this unless your entire resume and everything is uploaded in there. Another thing you could do is alerts. If you set alerts, it'll tell you whenever new help desk jobs get posted. Another thing you can do is filter and see these jobs don't make a lot. Like if you're entry level, it doesn't make a lot. But if you don't have experience, you want IT and you want to look for, let me see, entry level. But you have no experience. So you want to do this, entry level, okay? And then you want to go, let me show you the other thing you need to hit. Okay, hold on a second. Then you want to go to, where is it at? Entry level, no experience. That's what I'm looking for right now. And I don't see it. Job type, is this it? Job type, full-time internship, job posted, experience level. We already put entry level. Where is it? There's one that's no experience, and I'm looking for that one right now. Internship. Okay, maybe it's only on Indeed because I'm not seeing it here. Yeah, it's on Indeed. Anyway, so we put entry level on this one. That's how you got to do it. On Indeed. Yeah, Indeed and Dice will allow you to do no experience, and you want to do that for those ones. So now what you want to do is go down the list and apply. And here's another thing that you want to look at. Check this out. So if you go, let's say, look at this one right here. See how many applicants have already applied? This one was posted 2 days ago. It already has 15 applicants. Another thing you want to look at with no experience is they'll usually tell you what they're expecting from you. So this one already says 3 years or more experience field technician. Keep in mind, it's entry level. Entry level does not mean no experience. It's not. It's different. They're two different things. That said, you can find jobs on here that require no experience. They won't pay a lot, but you got to get your foot in the door. At this point, you're just trying to get your foot in the door. Does that make sense? If you get your foot in the door, then you've taken the first step. They don't pay a lot, but entry level, let's see if this is no experience. So, oh man, this cat is getting on my freaking nerves. All right, so once you've done all of that, none of this is easy, by the way. I mean, this is going to take you time. Not that it's hard. It's just going to take. It's just discipline, really. You know, it's what a lot of cybersecurity is discipline. A lot of it's discipline, emotional discipline. John's probably already gone. I don't even know why I talk about it. To be honest with you, I don't even know why I waste my time. Nobody freaking listens to me about it. And I'm so blown. And people are like, I don't have a job. You know what? Let's talk about something else. It's frustrating. It's frustrating, man. It's just so frustrated. Let me see. I applied to hundreds of jobs on LinkedIn, but most of them told me that I was overqualified for entry-level positions. So if you already have experience, you want to match yourself up with jobs. The name of the game, if you have experience, is to find jobs that match. This is what I'm just telling you what I've done, and it's worked. I'm matching myself up with. Sometimes I'll get offered a job that's like $90 an hour. I wish this cat would leave. Get out of here. Go. Get. I've gotten offered jobs for $90 an hour. And sometimes I'm like, dude, I'm not qualified for this. I'm not going to apply. No, I don't want to waste my time sitting for the interview if I'm not matched up with it. I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste their time. So what you want to do is match yourself up with their job. Like you look at their requirements and then match yourself up. But that's what I do. And it's worked. It's really worked well for me. So I've been talking for about 2 hours, guys. I'm about to call it quits on this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate everybody. If you didn't know, there's a free book. It's only free for the next few days. I'm looking for reviews. Whenever I find a person who's consistent on reviews, I contact them first about books. I'm like, hey, I got this free book, PDF. Here you go. You know, and I've got tons of stuff. I got stuff on ChatGPT, how to use that for your career. I've got stuff on all manner of cybersecurity that's going to be coming out real soon. If you're interested in this, if you're trying to get a free book right now, it's on Amazon, link in description, link in bio, link on my profile. Check it out. But that's it for this one, guys. I've got tons of other lives coming out throughout the week, so keep on watching. Appreciate you guys, everybody who's been helping to answer these questions. Could you read my question before you leave? Is it the same question I've been asking 15 times? No offense, with all due respect. In college for cybersecurity degree, what steps should I take to get into a role? I don't know why I want to talk about it because nobody listens. People don't. When it comes to people asking me about jobs, nobody freaking listens to me. Nobody freaking listens. Go, kitty. Come on. Nobody freaking listens. But okay, I'll tell you. Some students listen. So what you're going to do is, what's the steps? Okay. What you want to do is get the experience while you're in college. This is what you do. While you're in school right now, you're not going to listen to this. So I don't even know who the hell I'm talking to. To be honest with you, nobody listens to this advice. There's a couple exceptions, and they always do really, really well. Because it's hard. I think that's why they don't do it. I think that's why you guys don't do it, because it's hard. Taking action is hard. That's the hard part. This cat is all freaking over me. Go away, dude. Go away. Okay. So here's what you do. While you're in college, right now, you're not going to do any of this, but I'll try anyway. You're going to go to LinkedIn. You're going to go to Dice. You're going to go to Monster. You're going to go to I would recommend the top 10 job search sites. And you're going to make a profile on every single one of them. What you want to do is upload your resume. Oh, I don't have a resume, Bruce. Of course you freaking don't. So you want to make a resume. I don't know how to make a resume. Okay. I made a free, I gave my resume out for free. If you go to my profile, link in description, download my resume. It's an ATS style resume. And I've got several other ones that you can download. It's all there. Free. The only thing it costs is your time to download it and look at it and be like, okay, this is what he did. This is how you do it. So now that you have the resume, don't use the exact wording, obviously, that I use, but get an idea of how you word it. It's an ATS style, means application tracking software. That's what most of the Fortune 500 companies are using, that to pull in applicants. See, this is what's happening, is that this whole system has become automated. It's being done by AI and algorithms. That's what's happening. And so when people put their resume in and it's just some random crap that they put on their resume and it's not ATS style resume, and they don't freaking listen to me because they're like, all right, Bruce, I already got a resume. Oh, really? You already have a resume? And then they send me their resume. I'm like, yeah, well, that's the reason why nobody's looking at it, because it's not ATS style resume. So, oh my God. So listen. So here's what's happening. So what's happening is these large companies have hundreds of people applying. So when you put your when they pull your resume in through LinkedIn, through Dice, through Monster, that's why you put your stuff on there. When they pull your resume in, it doesn't know where to put your name. It doesn't know where to put your skill set. It doesn't know where. But if you put it in an ATS style resume, it takes your exact specifications from all of your experience and puts it directly into their database. It takes your name, it puts it exactly where it needs to go in their resume, in their database. It's what that application tracking software is taking the stuff from your resume and porting it over into their database. So there's people still contacting me from 6-7 years ago. Anyway, so you want to take an ATS style resume, put lots of keywords in it, because their database is looking for those keywords. You want to put that stuff in your resume. Upload that into Dice, into Monster, into LinkedIn, into Indeed, all the things, everywhere. Upload them in there. And once you get it in there, the algorithm is picking up on your resume. It's going to pick it. You might be like, well, Bruce, I don't have any experience. All right. Put your skills in there. It has a place where you can upload your skills. Have you done projects in school? If you're in school and you've done projects, you can actually put some of that in your experience. You want to volunteer your time at school, because another thing you want to do is, if you're still in college, start doing the work in the school. If you can help them to image systems, if you can help them with malware, if you can help them set up networks, if you can help them, volunteer your time. Right now, anything you can do is worth money. This is the most valuable time in your life to create a foundation that's going to affect 5-10 years from now, will be affected by the work you do now. Most people don't even think past tomorrow. Like, you got to be thinking like, this experience is worth its weight in gold. So if you can do it for free, that's money. That's an investment in your future. So get the experience now while you're still in school. Put your resume out now. You can always tweak it and add more stuff to it. If you're like, Bruce, well, I'm not done with my degree yet. Guess what? You could put your degree on there and say, finished by 2025. But I don't have any certifications. You put in there, working on CompTIA A+ certification, working on CEH certification will be complete in X. Working on it. You can use that. Nobody's going to listen to what I just said. So I don't even know why I talk about it, to be honest with you. But anyway, that's it. Congrats, everybody. Thanks for following. I appreciate it. Free book, link in description, link in bio. Free resume, my real resume, link in description, link in bio. Probably need to update that real soon. And I'm out of here. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one. Appreciate you.